We start up by getting introduced to our MC Sung Jin-woo, who is a rank hunter and always get near-death experiences. He is known as the world's weakest hunter. He's so weak, he gets hurt in E-rank dungeons. We are then introduced to Ji-hee, our MC's childhood friend, who is always worried for Sung Jin-woo, and is a B-rank healer. They are both going to a dungeon together. Mr. Song wants to become the leader of the group for this dungeon. Of course, everyone agreed to him being the leader. Even our MC agreed. We then see our MC getting healed by Ji-hee, and our MC is apologizing for getting hurt, while everyone else is fighting the dungeon monsters. The raid is almost over. Ji-hee asks if there any reason why he's a hunter. He says because it's fun. But he's too embarrassed if he told her the truth. She said being a hunter will get you killed, but Jin-woo just laughs. Then Mr. Song explains you get a magical core when you kill a monster and sell for money. But Jin-woo is weak, so he barely gets any magical cores. They then found a double lair, which is when a dungeon spawns in a dungeon. Mr. Song says the boss is in there and they usually have to contact the guild. But if they do, and the other hunters get it first, their profits would dwindle. So they all took a vote. After all the voting was done, it was 8 to 8 and Jin-woo had to decide. Everything depended on Jin-woo's vote, but Jin-woo didn't have enough money to pay for his sister and his sick mother. So of course, he decided to go. They have only 20 minutes until the dungeon closes. They found the boss room, although it's different to other boss rooms. The door opened by itself, which made it easier for the others. When they entered, they found a castle-like dungeon and statues that held weapons and even instruments. There was another giant statue and looked like the boss, since it was the only one that was huge. They then found a runic text that read commandments. First, worship the Lord. Second, praise the Lord. And third, prove your faith. But then Ji-hee said that the statue's eyeball moved. Jin-woo had a strange feeling like when the air is chilly. Mr. Song was still reading and said that if you do not follow these commandments, you will never return alive. There was a strange sound and the door closed. Someone tried to leave the dungeon, but before he could leave, a statue moved and instantly killed him and returned back to its place. Everyone started panicking on if they have to defeat these statues. Jin-woo then remembered what Ji-hee said. He looked at the giant statue and saw it was looking at him. Jin-woo shouts for everyone to duck because the boss was shooting a laser and everyone was in danger. Some people had died, and Ji-hee was too scared to stand up. Mr. Song had lost his left hand and asked Jin-woo to stop the bleeding and says this is beyond an A-ranked dungeon and asks Jin-woo what rank this seems to him, but he doesn't know. Then someone else tried to escape the dungeon because he was confident in his speed, but he didn't make it, and all was left was his legs. Jin-woo asks Mr. Song why they're not attacking us, but Mr. Song doesn't know. Jin-woo then remembers the commandments and asks Mr. Song the first commandment. Mr. Song says first is to worship the Lord. Jin-woo discovers it doesn't attack those who move, but those in a certain height, and tells everyone to bow down to the statue, and everyone listens to Jin-woo and bows. The statue does not attack them, and just looks at them, and then the statue gives a scary smile as if it had other plans. Everyone was surprised why its expression changed. Jin-woo was wondering how many are still alive, and how long they have to do this for. Everyone got up and cheered, but Jin-woo knew it wasn't over. The giant statue started to move and everyone wondered if they have to fight it. Jin-woo said the first was worship the Lord, and the second was praise the Lord. Someone came and said he was member of the church choir. He started to praise the Lord, but Jin-woo knew he was praising the wrong god, and so he got squashed by the giant's foot. The giant then started to squash everyone like a bug, and Jin-woo said there was no way to praise a god like him. While running, Jin-woo found something weird. The statues that were holding an instrument was not attacking, and told everyone to go under one so that they don't attack them. Jin-woo got under one with Ji-hee, but it didn't play the instrument, and Ji-hee said it doesn't allow two people under, so Jin-woo left and said he'll be safe. The statue noticed Jin-woo and started to attack him. Jin-woo was going to an instrument, but it was a shield. Jin-woo got hit by the shield, but was luckily pushed towards an instrument. It started to play and the giant statue stopped chasing him. After it was over, Ji-hee came to ask if Jin-woo was okay, but Jin-woo lost his leg. Ji-hee started to heal him, but she started to bleed for using too much of her powers. The giant statue then dropped a giant stone in the middle, and Jin-woo explains that it's an altar where you sacrifice animals and people, and says the last commandment is to prove your faith. Someone says that they just need to sacrifice someone, and says it should be Mr. Song since it's his responsibility. Mr. Song agrees that it's his responsibility, but Jin-woo doesn't agree since everyone voted to come here. But when Mr. Song entered the altar, one flame lit up, and Jin-woo asked himself what it meant. Jin-woo told someone to help him to get to the altar, and said it's probably fine. and more flames started to appear as more people got in, and there was even blue flames. Then suddenly, the door opened, and the statues started to move towards them. Jinwoo looked at the statues, and they stopped moving. Then Jinwoo told Juhee and everybody else to not close their eyes, because it's like the game they used to play as kids. And a girl screamed and started to run towards the door. One of the red flames disappeared, and she somehow made it out alive. Jinwoo figured that a blue flame disappears after a set amount of time, and a red flame disappears when someone leaves, and says that the open door is a trap. And when all the red flames disappear, the door will close, and then someone else leaves. Jinwoo says they can't have more people leaving, or else they won't have enough people to look at the statues. Mr. Song says what's happening, and Jinwoo says that they just need to wait until the blue flames are done, because the blue flames is like a timer. And someone says he might be right, but what if the door closes after the blue flames disappear? And if he's certain? He says he's sorry, but he can't stay any longer. He has a family and doesn't want to die here. Jinwoo tries to stop him, but the red flame had already disappeared. Jinwoo says in his mind, "Don't make me laugh, you leaving will result in their death." Mr. Song says that they should leave as they have many more years ahead of them. Mr. Song says to Juhee to help Jinwoo, but Juhee's legs couldn't move because of mana exhaustion because of healing Jinwoo. Jinwoo says to Mr. Song to take Juhee, but Mr. Song says he will stay, and Jinwoo says he will help Juhee and that there's no time, but Juhee says she would rather stay, so Mr. Song had to knock her out and take her by force. After they both had left, Jinwoo says at least he was the only one that had to die. Jinwoo finds a sword and grabs it and says he'll at least take one monster with him. He says come, and the monster comes charging at him. But Jinwoo gets hit and gets sent on top of the altar and starts to bleed. Jinwoo says he doesn't want to die, and if only he had one more chance. And right before he got sliced, a mysterious light appeared and time had stopped moving. A notification had appeared that said you have completed the requirements for the secret quest, Courage of the Weak, and says you have the right to become a player, and if you refuse, your heart will stop 0.02 seconds later. Jinwoo says if he accepts, he doesn't have to die, and so he accepts, and the voice is welcome player. After that, Jinwoo wakes up in a hospital and asks himself if that was a dream. Afterwards, the Korean Hunter Guild's inspectors came to Jinwoo and said that when the White Tiger Guild made it to the dungeon, there was nobody and only Jinwoo on top of the altar, and they believe that Jinwoo got a double awakening. A double awakening is when someone gets a reawakening, and so they want to use a magic power detector on Jinwoo. But Jinwoo is still weak, even he rank have at least 70. Also, there is a notification in the air, but only Jinwoo can see it. After the inspectors left, Jinwoo's sister Jin-ah came in and started to scold Jinwoo for getting hurt. Jinwoo asks Jin-ah if she can see the message in the air, but Jin-ah can't, and Jin-ah asks if he had hurt his head. The message says, preparing to become strong, and says the system will help the player's growth, and if he disobeys the system's orders you get a penalty, and there is also a reward. Jinwoo remembers something similar on the altar. Jinwoo checks the quest, preparing to become strong. Jinwoo sees a bunch of workouts on the quest, but Jinwoo says he will check it out after he sleeps. But if Jinwoo doesn't finish it, he will receive a penalty. Time goes by and Jinwoo receives a penalty, and he teleports to a desert, and he encounters a giant sand centipede. Jinwoo has been running for almost 4 hours from the giant sand centipede. Jinwoo had almost finished the quest, and right before he was going to get eaten, he completed the quest, saving him, and Jinwoo collapsed from the fatigue. It's the 4th day that Jinwoo had woken up from, and he has learned a few things. Jinwoo can get stronger by using stat points to increase his power, and also has a status, skills, items, inventory, and item storage. It's all just like a game. Jinwoo got a key from the random box that can open an instant dungeon. Jinwoo opens the dungeon, and he will run away like last time if anything happens, and so Jinwoo goes through the gate. He entered a different dimension and cannot escape or run away unless he kills the boss, and so he continued on. Jinwoo encountered a monster and it attacked him, but Jinwoo dodged it. It kept attacking him, and so Jinwoo punched it and sent it flying, but it was still okay. Then Jinwoo remembered he had a weapon in his inventory and used to slice the monster in half. But even more monsters appeared. One of the monsters got his sword, but he still cut through them. The other monster got scared and ran away. But the dead monster didn't drop a magical core. A pack of monsters appeared, but Jinwoo isn't afraid because he has already died once. Jinwoo starts to kill the monsters and realizes if he quits he will get slaughtered. Even more appear, but he killed all of the monsters. But it resulted in his weapon to lose its durability, and so he had to say bye to it. Jinwoo got a Hearthstone by defeating them and can return home, but he might not get a chance to get stronger easily, and so he stayed and slayed even more monsters and got even stronger. Jinwoo also found a rank system for the monsters. White is weak, orange is strong, and red is super strong. Raikens and were orange, but now white, showing Jinwoo got stronger. Even so, he still isn't sure if he can take down the boss, but he still went and got attacked by the boss, and was sent flying, and also his sword was broken in half. But even after leveling up, its name was still orange. His sword won't pierce his scale, and his punches don't have effect. He had no way to deal with its scales, and so he kept getting attacked by the giant serpent. Jinwoo wanted to escape from his past as the weakest, and so he had to get stronger. Jinwoo managed to pierce its scales. Jinwoo put all his points in strength, and using that he crushed the serpent's neck and killed the giant serpent, and he obtained the title Swamp Ruler and got a dagger and a bag of venom. But his clothes got ruined and his sword broke. But at least he obtained a dagger, and it has paralysis and bleed and is stronger than his old one. After Jinwoo defeated the boss, the dungeon started to disappear. He met with a soldier, and the soldier said if he didn't hear the broadcast. And then he saw that Jinwoo was a hunter and said to follow him, as there is a monster attack. Most have been taken care of, but one big one remained. Jinwoo can feel the monster. It was a giant blue monster. The hunters fighting it were weak. The only strong one was a tank, so he can't do damage. There were 3 healers, 2 D rank, and the other one was Juhee. And even after a week, she is still traumatized. But Jinwoo has to overcome that fear to become stronger. The monster is weaker than the one he fought at the instant dungeon. Jinwoo used all his strength to throw the broken sword and hit the monster's face, killing it instantly. Sometime later, we see Jinwoo working out doing his daily tasks. Then a nurse comes in and asks Jinwoo for his number. Later on, we see Jinwoo waking up and his sister going to school. She sees that Jinwoo is more muscular and asks if he has been working out, and also says he has gotten taller. He says in his mind that there's no way he could get this way in just a few weeks, and says it's probably because of him putting points into his strength. Jinwoo doesn't want to be too bulky, so he balances his points into all of them. Jinwoo says if he continues like this, he can become a top rank hunter soon. The higher the rank of a hunter, the more money they make. Jinwoo wants to get his rank reviewed, but people will be malicious of him because he gets stronger over time. Later on, we see Jinwoo going for a raid which pays 2 million won just by being a member. This is because there is a rule where there needs to be 10 people or more to enter a C-rank dungeon. Jinwoo then asks if they are going without a healer. The leader says it's hard to get a healer and that they always do it this way. And so Jinwoo isn't sure if he should accept the offer. But everyone said they'll take care of the monsters, so there's no need to worry. Then a guy said he'll protect Jinwoo if there is any danger. And so Jinwoo just went with them. And that's how the first part of this web novel ends. If you guys want a part 2, comment with the word solo. Also don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give a like. That's all for today. Bye.